make, or actually I'm just going to cut these shirts because I have 4 daughters who are waiting patiently for their t-shirt blankets. So I thought I would go ahead and film and show you how I do the cutting. I'm only going to do the cutting today, and then I'll do another live where I show you how I actually like put it together, all those steps. So I've already cut the sleeves off of this. Now I'm going to cut it. I always separate the front from the back because there are logos that they want from the front and the back included in the blankets. So that's what I'm going to do with these. And again, I'm not cutting these into squares yet. I'm just cutting the t-shirts apart. So anyways, if you start taking orders for this type of thing, I just want to tell you what the difference between a blanket and a quilt is. And this is not like the be-all end-all of the terminology. It's just, this is how I explain it to my customers, and I save all these scraps, and I'm going to tell you why sometime, but not during this video. So a memory shirt blanket, and I think I have a picture posted in my group what it actually looks like. So the blanket itself is the front and a back, and then I do put some type of fabric in the middle, like a batting, but I don't have a long arm quilt machine. I just have a basic Brother JX 2517, and then I have a Brother Runway, which needs fixed, so that's out of commission. Anyways, I don't do any type of quilting on those standard sewing machines because I don't have, and if you look in the back behind me, you can see the machine I'm talking about. And here I am filming, so there we go. Anyways, I'm not going to do any type of quilting on those machines because I can't risk ruining the motors and all that. So I do offer t-shirt blankets, and they are more cost affordable, more friendly. I don't skimp on quality. It's just the difference is, if you see a quilt that usually has that intricate design interweaved throughout and it's real pretty, well, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a long arm machine to do that. And so I just make basic lap size blankets. And again, I only do like, I shouldn't say just lap size. So if you have an infant, a toddler, like a toddler size bed, or something that you want to wrap around your shoulders or lay on your lap while you're watching TV, that is the size. And I don't have the measurements in front of me. I can post those another time if you're interested. As always, if you sign up for my newsletter, you can get all this information in writing. And my newsletter is free. You just go to stephaniegrams.com and sign up for the newsletter. And hopefully, if you're already on there, you should have gotten a newsletter from me this past week. I think it was Sunday I sent it out. No, sorry. I sent it out, I think, Thursday. Sorry, my days are all jumbled together right now. So anyways, I am cutting the shirts, the front from the back. If there's a logo on the back of the t-shirt, then it goes into like this right here. Carolina Forest Community Church. This is when my youngest daughter got baptized. They baptized her in a Myrtle Beach ocean. And so she gave her life to Christ, and then she was baptized in Myrtle Beach. How funny is that, right? So anyway, so like I said, this front has a logo in the back. So I cut them apart and they go into the front side, like the logo pile. And then I have a pile where it just has like blank. Let me show you this t-shirt. There was no logo on the back of this t-shirt, but I still keep this because I can use this for something else. Anyways, when I'm cutting, I cut the sleeve seam right here. And here, let me show YouTube. right there, I cut that seam. So if you have long sleeves, short sleeves, it doesn't matter. Just cut the seam and it will work. There we go. Let me zoom this in for right here. That's what I follow. Now for super stretchy shirts, I'm going to use a special type of stabilizer, iron-on stabilizer. But right now, I think it's called Pelon 44. That's what I typically end up using. Again, I always cut the front and back separately. Even if there's no logo, I just want to stay in the habit of cutting these separate from one another. Some of these t-shirts have holes in them, so I'm going to patch those holes before I put it in the blanket. I mean, like this hole doesn't matter, it's in the armpit, and I just cut around that since the logo is clear over here in the center. And this one's really, really torn here. It's easier to see where I cut when the t-shirt is a lighter color. And then when you're on the shoulders, I just follow the shoulder seam. Again, right now it's not gonna, it has nothing to do with like perfection or anything like that. This is a tank top. So there's not really a back to this. As you can see, it's just laced up. So, you know, really this doesn't take very long to cut apart. I just have to make sure I have the shoulder straps. Now we can open this up. Oops, here's two more. Now, if you're not used to making these, you might be going a little bit slower than I am, but I'm kind of, you know, I'm very familiar with making these now. Now, I'll show you in a different live how I trim them down to the actual squares and stuff like that. Now, if you're making these for a customer, you want to make sure that you design your shirts around their request. And if obviously if you can't, you know, fulfill their request, then you just tell them that it's not something you can do. When I first started offering these, I had a coworker ask me if I could turn her marathon shirts into a quilt, and I had to explain to her the difference between a quilt and a blanket, so she wasn't surprised. And so she went ahead and went with a local quilter. And so yeah, I mean, I missed out on a sale, but I would not want them to, any customer to think that she was going to get this gorgeous quilt versus ending up with a t-shirt blanket. So I'm always very careful about showing pictures and telling them the difference. And there are some very talented t-shirt quilt makers out there, and you know, maybe one day I'll have a long arm and I can do that, but that's not where I'm at today, and this is where my business is today. And so, you know, that's what I'm gonna do. Now you might see the same shirts being cut over and over. That's because I have 4 daughters and they might have all purchased the same t-shirt at one point in time, because for the last almost 8 years, we've traveled because my husband is a respiratory therapist, and a lot of times he took travel positions, so we moved quite a bit between South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida. And that was a treat in itself. You know, it didn't always feel ideal, and we got a lot of backlash from people, and a lot of people would question why we were doing that, and it was the best way. I mean, it was a door that the Lord opened for us to be able to help our children and help our family. So hopefully they have really good memories of all our traveling, and you know, they made some really good friends over the years. So that's how that goes. If you ever want to be like a traveler, like a nurse or respiratory therapist, or you want to live in an RV and do this, you can. This is a travel-friendly career choice, business option, and that's something that I do talk about in the classes that I teach, especially the upcoming class in July of 2021 called Bears and More. So if you're interested in knowing any more about that, you can always go to my website or send me a private message. My husband used to work at the Grand Strand Hospital in Myrtle Beach. It was so fun living there. I really miss South Carolina. But I will be thankful where I'm planted for right now, and continue on. When we moved to Myrtle Beach, we moved in May, and that was the month of the bike weeks. There's 2 different bike weeks in Myrtle Beach in the month of May, and oh my, that was one way to get used to that town real quick. And that hospital, the Grand Strand and McLeod, were so busy for that entire month. Oh, it was craziness. And it was noisy. Motorcycles can be very, very, very noisy. And, you know, when they drive past your house, it shakes your windows sometimes. So it was definitely a learning experience for my family. I love this orange. I am on YouTube, and I'm trying to build my subscriber base there. So I would love for you to come over and like and subscribe, and you can ask questions there too. I do my best to answer all the questions. So one of the things I do for my students in my online classes that I teach a Memory Bears and More class, and the ones that decide to start offering these services, I actually allow them to submit their business to my online business directory for free. So I thought that was pretty cool. That way they can get the word out about their company also. Those are for all my students that graduate. These shirts are actually very, very worn. That's one thing that my daughters and I do, is we wear our shirts so there's no more wearing, you know. Because we try not to, you know, waste. We like to upcycle and recycle the best that we can. I think there's even a night, not a nightgown, but a night t-shirt, like, you know, in this pile too. I need to make sure my daughter wanted me to cut that, because I think she just got that for Christmas. I don't know if it got mixed in with this pile or not. I have my son-in-law's army fatigues that he no longer can wear. So I'm going to make a blanket for my daughter, Sierra. Since that's her husband. She probably won't get that until like Christmas though. Because I have some ideas I want to do for that blanket for her. See this little logo? There's a bunch of little logos that I want to include on some of these blankets for my daughters. So I'm going to keep those in the other pile. Let me turn my computer around for my YouTube people. So this is the website I'm referring to. Just in case you're not sure, StephanieGrahams.com. That's where the newsletter is. And all the information, really. I'm going to move my computer so YouTube can see this. This is a little crooked. I don't want the back to be too off-center when I cut it. Now, do you offer these services? If so, comment below so we can all come over and see your website and learn about you too. I mean, that's what social media is for, isn't it? To be social with one another. Now, if this is something you're going to offer, I would ask your clients or customers, sorry, not clients, customers, if you're allowed to like show it on social media. A lot of them don't want you to until they receive the product back and have approved it and all of that, but always get that in writing. You know, that's in the contract, and that's something else I talk about in my classes. This shirt, the front's already been cut, and this is when I first started out. I just went up the whole armpit and over, and you can do that too if you want. I just like to cut around the sleeves because I use the sleeves for other projects. But that that's really a preference for you. And then obviously you want to make sure that your customer doesn't want their scraps back, because some customers want the scraps of fabric back. So, you know. I kind of like fold the front and back together like this, like sideways, and try to run the scissors up the seam on both sides at the same time. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you're not cutting into any of the logo or the pictures. I don't keep those. This is the shirt. I don't know if my daughter wants me to actually cut this. This one's brand new looking, so that can go off to the side. Make sure that these are, I need to ask her about that one. Oh, I know she wants this one cut. There's nothing on the back of this one, so I'm just going to cut up along the side right here. think this t-shirt's funny. Can you see that? Instant lunch, the ramen noodle. This one was completely worn. I mean, I don't know if you can see, she basically lived in this t-shirt after work, so that means I did a good job shopping that way that year. See, if you fold it sideways and it lines up just like that, you can just run your scissors up the side easily. The Golden Girls. I mean, this is older than any of my daughters, I believe. And some of my daughters absolutely love that show, and I think that's so funny. They also like a lot of 80s music. In fact, I know a couple of them, if not all of them, like some of the ABBA songs, and I think that's from like the late 70s. I think some of those are even older than me, so I think that's cute. They said that's when music was real music, Mom. I keep having to remind myself that it's only Monday. For some reason, I'm thinking it's like Saturday. I have no idea when my days are so mixed up. I know, like today, my project list, I wanted to get all of these shirts cut apart, and then I wanted to set up my part of my basement as like a prayer room. I don't know if you're familiar with like the War Room movie or a prayer room, where I can just go and have my devotionals each day, because right now I just keep going from like the dining room to the TV room to my bedroom, and it's I can't really keep lugging all my binder, notebooks, Bible, and all that back and forth, up and down, and all that. So that's on my to-do list this week. Now, if I can get it done today, that would be great. But I think I'm going to end up overscheduling myself today if I plan for that. Now, this t-shirt also has a tiny logo on the front and then the big one on the back. So I want to be careful when I cut this one. So those go in the front pile. I believe this has a front, yes, this one also has a front logo. You can tell we lived in Beaufort for, goodness, almost 2 years. Beaufort, South Carolina. Now, don't confuse it with Beaufort, North Carolina, because you get yelled at. They let you know that Beaufort and Beaufort are spelled the same, but they are not pronounced the same. So we learned that quickly, very, very quickly, when we arrived on Ladies Island. Now, if I had a money tree and I had a magic genie, I would be doing all this work from Sun City, South Carolina. But that is not reality. And this is where I did work here. Here, I'll show you the front of it. I was the activities director at this place, the Palmettos. I met some of the most wonderful individuals working there. Some of the residents are just a hoot. They were so fun to be around. Whoops. I don't know if I told you yet, but I just graduated. I am now a certified end-of-life doula. Never heard of it before, but it's quite interesting, actually. Like I said, you'll see a couple shirts that are identical, and that's because like 2 of my daughters were volunteers here at the Palmettos, so they each ended up getting a t-shirt. Sorry, I want to make sure this is filming for Facebook also. Here we go. I'm almost through with this pile, and then that's going to be the end of this video. This also has a front and a back. I think that my daughter would like to have in her blanket. Definitely, whenever you take your order, talk about color placement with your customers and what size they're wanting, what size blanket, and find out if they want any personalization done, and ask them if they want the fabric scraps returned, or if you can just, you know, recycle those into something else. Again, I just like to follow the seams. It's just easier if you follow the seams around each sleeve. And then I take this and kind of like fold it in half the other way. And then this is where the armpit was. I just kind of make an invisible mental line up the seams like this. And again, I follow the seams across the shoulders. This is a plain back. It goes in my extras over here. Now I know there's nothing on the back of this, so what I might do is take a shortcut. And if you're not comfortable doing this, then don't. I'm just going to take it like this up the side. Now I'll straighten all this out and cut it with my rotary cutter and my quilting grid, or ruler, I guess you should call it. So, and that'll just be in a totally different video. already cut this one. This is Reptar. My daughter Angelica loves the Rugrats. Isn't that hilarious? I named her Angelica. Now this t-shirt only has a logo on the sleeve and right at the back. So I'm going to cut the sleeve and just part of this back out and then put the rest in my extra pile. I'm just going to make like a mental line here and then maybe, okay, so here's the armpit at the end. So I'm just going to cut across. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to bump the camera. And again, I cut across the shoulders. Put this sticky right here. I'll eventually be able to upgrade all of my computer or my, I'm just showing you my website. Filming stuff. There's just one logo on the front here. Oops, there goes my sticky note. Again, I'm just going to cut this up the side and save some time because I already know there's no logo anywhere else. And I kind of keep it as close to the side as I can so I don't end up taking off too much to the front, because I'm not sure what size square this is going to be for this quilt yet. And I won't know that until I start designing it. And then I'll show you my really simple quilt wall that I made. I've shown it in, I think it was like 2020, yeah, early 2020. But I'll show you again. Now this shirt is really special because my daughter dyed it herself and we ironed this patch on, so I'm gonna incorporate a large portion of this shirt into her blanket. So I'm actually gonna take the time to cut up the side seam, and I'm gonna show you another way you can cut this. Up the armpit, directly at the side. Okay, and you can do that to the side also. Just watch your fingers when you're, cutting. You don't want to damage your fingers. That would be a bad day, especially when you're a sewing artist or sewist. Kind of need all of your digits and need them as healthy as possible. All right. This back is actually going to go with the front because I am going to make sure that I incorporate quite a bit of that. Now this one is a sweatshirt, and I think she likes the tag too, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. And there's nothing on the back, so I'm just going to cut up the seam, the side straight up like this. you've never done this before and this is something that you want to do as a business owner, I really suggest either use some of your own clothes or go to a thrift store and purchase clothes so you can get the experience you need before you take on a custom order. So everything, whenever I go to make something new, before I add it to my online store and offer it as a service, I always make one first, and I'm always giving those out as gifts, basically. I don't keep them. I need to see. No. Okay, there's no logo on this one. Again, I'm just going to save myself some time and cut straight up here. Again, I did that because there's no logo anywhere else. There's no logo on the sleeves, no logo on the back, nothing special except right here in the front. So that's why I'm going to save time and cut up the sides. So earlier I talked about the difference between memory quilts, t-shirt quilts and t-shirt blankets. Not only is it easier when you don't have a long arm quilting machine to offer the blanket as a service to get started, but also it gives your customers an option, because a lot of customers don't have $200, $300, $400 or more dollars for a t-shirt quilt to be made, but they would like to have their shirt, and it's not just t-shirts, but that's what it goes by, their memory blankets made. They would like to preserve their favorite clothes, pajamas, maybe even old quilts that have fallen apart, that kind of thing. And this gives them the option. It's a more affordable option for your customer also. It's a good value. It's still a high quality product. It just doesn't have the fancy designs that quilts have. This is a Hilton Head t-shirt. The other one is still good. I still wear the other one. Well, I've been doing this for 39 minutes already. Oh my goodness gracious. Time sure goes by fast. That's not too bad. I'm just trying to get this part done before I have to go work on something else. I have to work on something else by 5 o'clock tonight. So now this one I have to be very careful with, because we have the front logo, which means a lot to my daughter, okay? But also the back. She graduated from Carolina Forest High School, and that's Carolina Forest is basically Myrtle Beach. It's not, but it kind of is. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. If you ever go to Myrtle Beach, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So I want to be careful. I'm trying to save as much of this t-shirt as I can, just because there's a lot of holes and it's going to need things patched. This one had the whole armpit was ripped out of this one, so there's no saving that. Now move the back from the front. You don't want to cut through it. And this t-shirt will go in the front, and the back of this t-shirt is going in the, what I call the fronts pile. Oh, we're almost done. I think, is there a front? Yeah, so there's a front and back to this t-shirt also. I think I'm going to start with the arms, the sleeves on this one, just because it doesn't lay as flat as I like. And I know, I'm pretty confident that if I just follow the seam around the sleeves, I'm not going to ruin the front or back logos. There we go. All right, last but not least, this is for my other daughter who was a volunteer when I worked there. I'll tell you, if you want an exciting, interesting, adventurous career, instead of running your own company, then become an activity director for assisted living. Because there is never a dull, boring minute. From the minute you clock in till you clock out, there is always something to be doing. Always somebody that would like to have a conversation. Okay. Well, if you stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead of you. And again, you can find me on YouTube, my private Facebook group. If you just go to my main website, stephaniegrams.com, you should be able to find me everywhere. And be sure to sign up for my newsletter, because that's where I share all of the information. Bye, guys.